how does the Doctor move about? He has a spaceship called the Tardis, which is an acronym for Time and Relative Dimension in Space. It is disguised as a police call box. These were very popular in up through the 1970s in England, where you could go in and use a telephone to call for the police if there was an emergency. The TARDIS has a special ability that whenever it would land in a particular place, it would be able to disguise itself so as to be unnoticeable. In the very first episode, it was shown to be an older model, and then when it landed in London in the 1950s, it got stuck in looking like a police call box. So for the entire 50-year run, it has looked like this call box, and that's one of the constants in Doctor Who, is that the TARDIS will be this blue police call box. The other thing is that it is bigger on the inside than on the outside, and that's something each of the companions very quickly, within the first couple of seconds, mentions, is that it's bigger on the inside. Just walking you through a couple of views, the control room, how it's looked over the years, and you'll get used to seeing this kind of control panel, console of how the Doctor maneuvers it. And although it would be updated from time to time, some things would constantly be there, such as six-sided in the center of the room, and this is the current view. I know it's not the best picture, but as you're watching the episodes, you'll be seeing both this version and this version of the TARDIS. Some of the villains, because as any show of good versus evil, we have to have the villains, and you'll be seeing some repeated ones that keep coming back. Some have been here since 1963, some are new, some don't change very much, some have changed quite a bit. The kind of iconic enemy of the Doctor is the Dalek. He keeps destroying them, and they keep finding different ways of coming back. And you can just read through this, but basically inside the armor there is a particular life form which controls the mechanized armor of the Dalek. The Daleks are well known for saying exterminate, and so we'll be seeing this, and you'll be hearing this several times.
Exterminate! Exterminate!
They can't feel any emotions except for hate. So they kill indiscriminately, and they just want to exterminate. And as you can see over the years, this is the first Doctor with Susan coming up against a Dalek, third Doctor, the 11th Doctor, so we see them again and again and again. Although changing very little in appearance, the biggest change with the newest Doctor is that their color. That now we have different colors of them, and you'll see that in a particular show called Asylum of the Daleks. The Master is also a particular enemy. He is also a Time Lord from Gallifrey. He's been the Doctor's archenemy since 1971. This was his original appearance. This is his most recent appearance. And we're going to see the Master come back, that since he was a child and he looked into the time vortex, one of the tests that a Time Lord must go through, he's heard a drum beat in his head, and we see the resolution of that. Again, some different views of him. So he has been played by 6 different characters, and the reason he can change and look different is because of regeneration. He is a Time Lord as well. He's just an evil, maniacal Time Lord, but when he comes close to death, he can change his appearance, he can regenerate and change and becomes a new person. The Cybermen, also one of the oldest enemies of the Doctor. Again, you'll notice the way of describing them is lack of emotion. They don't feel anything. If they do start to feel anything, their heads will implode. So again, a very common theme for enemies of people who or things who cannot feel. Again, some of the smaller versions of different enemies that you will see. In some earlier versions, you can see there was not much money spent on special effects, and as they were updated for the new version, again, more money was put into it to kind of make it look a little bit more modern. And then one of the most recent and newly created enemies are the Weeping Angels. We will see this first week. You will see an episode with the Weeping Angels where they were introduced called Blink. Again, this is how they're introduced by 10 Don't Blink. It's a common trope for the new Who is Don't Blink. I'm just going to walk you through so you can see a couple. We are going to be dealing with the Silence. We will talk about them. I'm not wanting to put too much information out about some of these because if you haven't seen these episodes, if you're not a diehard fan of Doctor Who, then I want to kind of keep some of the mystery of who these people will be. But in this week's episode of The End of the World, you'll see Cassandra. We won't see many versions of the Slitheen. We will see the child who keeps asking, "Are you my mummy?" Meaning mommy. A particular enemy that when you would watch TV, it would zap your essence and it would leave you faceless. And the Silurians we'll talk about through this course, a reptile race that hibernated in the earth, so much older earthlings than the human race, and not always at peace with the earthlings that it runs across, the human race that it runs across. And the final ones will be looking at this term, the Vashta Narada. And again, we'll see them in a lot more detail as we go through the term.